Hi everyone! For a long time I was interested in the topic of cognitive bias, how they can affect our lives, productivity, and how they can be applied at work. And recently I decided to deepen my knowledge and popularize this topic along the way. I needed some kind of result to motivate myself, and I decided that I would be a series of videos on each bias. I hope this video will be useful not only for me. Accessibility bias is a shortcut in our thinking that causes us to place more value on what we see more often or see now. This was useful 50,000 years ago, when we instantly made decision to run away and call our fellow tribesmen with spears when we saw a tiger. But now it leads us to give erroneous answer and make wrong decisions. The solution that first come to our mind seems to us more suitable than the alternative, and we don't waste resources on additional reflections. For example, if I ask you in which program I should create text, document or presentation, you will most likely name the programs that you yourself use it. None of you will suggest that I immediately look at the comparison table and choose solution based on some kind of deep comparison. Because of this, companies can buy not the most suitable programs for work or order consumables and tools without market research, but simply because we always took it there. Another example is that we overestimate the likelihood of an event of which we have more memories. For example, try to imagine how many times rarer a royal flush is than a pair in a poker. 2 times less, 10 times less, maybe 1000 times less. Say some number. In fact, the probability of seeing a royal flush combination on the table is 5282 times lower than the probability of meeting a pair. But why did most of you say the number is less? The fact is that thanks to films and advertising, many people associate poker with royal flush combination. So it's very easy to underestimate how rarely it occurs. How to use availability bias. Since this is the first video in series, I will first say in general. The more cognitive bias you are familiar with, the more likely you are build on them in your work or use them in make decisions. Just because you know about a particular bias doesn't mean you can avoid it, but knowing about its existence and sources, you can take it into account and change your decision plans accordingly. At the beginning, I gave an example of program selection. When you are faced with the task of choosing program, design technology or material for a new chair, you will most likely have some solution right away. How can you act without knowing about the existence of bias? Just make decision based on memory, maybe even the right one. And how to make decision taking into the bias. Even if you already know of solution to your problem, if the scale of the issue is worth your time, take the time to research and do some comparison. It's quite possible that you will discover something fundamentally new for yourself that you have not encountered before, and that you will like much more than the solution you already know. Another use case. If you're creating a game where the player can win and lose something, focus on the wins. Congratulate players on the win and treat the losses as if they never happened. So the probability and joy of victory will seem higher and the player will stay in your game much longer. Please write in the comments examples of how the availability bias can help in your field of work. How the availability bias and was discovered. I suggest you solve 2 exercises. The first is, if a random word is taken from English text, which is the most likely that the word begins with the letter K or the K in the third letter? K, or ask for example, Second, offhand answer which of these two multiplication result is greater. Pause and write your answer in the comments. The first exercise I took was from Tversky and Kahneman study of the ability bias. Then the subjects were also asked if a random word is taken from English text, is it more likely that the word begins with the letter K or that K is the third letter. Since it is much easier to remember and give examples of words starting with any letter than to remember and give example of words with the specific third letter, the subjects, of course, almost all answered that the words starting with the letter K are much more common than the word where K is the third. But the correct answer is that words where K is the third place are used statistically more than words starting with K. In another experiment by Tversky and Kahneman, participants were asked offhand to name the results of multiplication problem in which numbers were represented at either from 1 to 8 or from 8 to 1. Participants who were presented with equation starting with large numbers 8, 7, 6 had higher numerical response than participants who were shown an equation starting with the small numbers 1, 2, 3. In my exercise, the multiplication starting with 3 and 5 equals 7,200, while the multiplication where 11 and 9 start gave us 5,544 in answer. Such experiments have shown that people distort their answer based on what they are more familiar with or on the basis of they see now. In the next video I will talk about the attention bias. Subscribe and put a notification so you don't miss out. Bye everyone!